Hey gang, welcome to another Bellamy production. Today we have a special guest, Lynn Book. Lynn was my improv. I learned improvisation from Lynn last spring in a performance arts class. And I don't know, Lynn, if you have anything to follow up on that? Or...
Well, since I'm a Tulip today, the kind of improvisation that I ordinarily perform has to do with growing.
Growing?
Growing, yeah. Growing and going for the sunshine.
Huh. So... I guess that, so that's like you're subconsciously, you're always growing towards the sunshine, no matter what.
Yeah, I think so, because, as a life form, that is kind of what is most deeply in me, that desire to grow and to live. And so that's why performance art is the basic fertilizer for growing and living at a certain level, a certain sort of activated, edgy level. It makes you alive. Growing.
It makes you alive.
But also performance art.
So, I'm trying to understand you. Growing makes you alive?
Growing makes you very alive.
Like growing as in learning, or like physically growing?
Well, I think growing as in eating.
That makes you alive?
Yeah, and growing as in going all out.
All out?
Yeah, like all tentacles, all eyeballs, all fingertips, and all heart muscle. And with the growing and the going out, one could actually sort of dissolve, I suppose, into the universe, because when do you come back, might be the question. So you have to come back. So you have to bring all that out back in. And that maybe is that's the catalyst. Let's call that the catalyst for growing. Bringing the out back in.
So you have to learn.
Yeah.
But you also kind of have to, you gotta put yourself out there to learn.
Yeah.
And then you gotta kind of retain yourself too a little bit after that. Get back to it.
Well, yeah, the learning is not just about absorbing in, but actually it's about transforming whatever you've gotten out there into your own plant body.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
I think from a plant perspective it does make sense.
Yeah. Or an organism perspective, right? It doesn't have to be a plant. It's just that today we happen to be conversing with a tulip.
Right.
So we should ask the tulip.
Okay. You're not the tulip?
Well, I mean, I am and I'm not, and that's part of the out and the in too, right?
Huh.
So you're out and you're also in, and you are a tulip and then you're also not a tulip, and it's that tension between what you are and what you are not, or what you are and what you may be becoming, that makes life most interesting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Yeah. Good tulip sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Here comes a man with a banana.
Yeah. As a tulip, do you have any flower friends?
Yeah. Yeah, flower friends and and probably some competitors and friends, flower friends that aren't flowers.
Right.
Like bees would be a flower friend. And so yeah, friendly with the flowers is also a really good idea.
Friendly with the flowers.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Talk.
I learned about someone who's going to be talking to my students today about complexity theory, and it turns out he's an avid orchid grower.
Oh, really?
He's a neuroscientist who enjoys thinking about and talking about complexity theory, and he grows orchids. So you see, it really is connected in a very powerful way. Growing
orchids.
Going out in order to live more deeply in.
Does that mean like putting yourself out there, you kind of learn more?
Yeah, that's part of it.
About yourself.
Yeah, and you, I think maybe you learn the thing that you really learn, the biggest lesson is that what you thought of as yourself before you went out there is always becoming something else. And that kind of question and that kind of excitement about the becoming, about the potential for who you might become, let's say, you bring that back in. So it's not about coming back and sort of affirming some old idea of self before you went out, but rather it's about conditioning your plant body with a new idea of self. So you could, in fact, become a tulip if you went out there with the bees or something like that. Does that make sense? Sort of?
Yeah, like if you laid with like the other tulips, you can kind of feel maybe like how those tulips lived. Kind of.
Yeah. How can you become a tulip?
Become a tulip.
Become a tulip. Do you want to try it? Pretty good, huh? It's funny, people usually sort of try to have a conversation with the flower by smelling it.
Yeah.
Right? It's maybe like the first way.
That's a human instinct.
Yeah, maybe. But then how else can you? Yeah. And how can the flower become something that's inside you as opposed to something that's outside? And further, how can you actually get into the flower? And it's a whole different level of conversing that's happening now, right?
Yeah. I can smell the soil now, too.
So I'm going to go out now, and I'll leave you out there in the flowers, or in them, or they in you, or whatever the case may be. And I'll see you in some new life place.
All right.
Okay? Bye.
Bye. Well,